Hi, this is Rebecca.
And Leslie.
With the Geeky Girls Night In podcast. Geeky Girls Night In is a podcast with your fandom family sleepover style.
Empowering fans and creating inclusive fan spaces where we can all be ourselves.
So get your jammies.
Grab a drink.
Gather the fur babies.
And join the conversation.
Hey, y'all. Welcome back.
Hello.
So glad to have you here. Yes, you.
Even you.
Exactly. Everyone.
Yes. So, it's been a long week, but powered through.
Heck yeah.
Let's get it started.
Let's do it.
What are you drinking today?
So, I'll be honest, on Sundays, I prefer wine. I did not go to the store. So I have my green tea with a little, it's like mango green tea in my little Ravenclaw mug. So I'm good.
Very cool. Very cool. So I'm going to preface this with Stash. You should send us both like tea care packages because I think this will be the second week in a row that I've promoted you. Like, I think you're primarily most of my tea, and then you best believe that I'm going to send this to you after it gets recorded and posted. And yeah, you can send me some tea. That'd be great. Anyway, I am drinking their lemon ginger herbal tea, and I have my same Marauders map mug, and I've also dumped a few leaves of lemon balm in my tea. It's been strained at this point to kind of punch up the lemon flavor a bit. And the lemon balm came from my garden.
That sounds delicious.
So good.
So yeah, we've got a lot of really cool stuff for you today. Some more reviews for geeky stuff we consumed and tried this week. Leslie's got also some more video game updates, computers. Lots of fun geeky stuff. So
we also have a special interview for you today with the Two Squares podcast.
Oh my God, they are just delightful.
Terris and Delshon. So make sure you stick around for that.
Yeah, I love that interview. We did the interview first before this, and they are just wonderful. They're delightful. You're gonna love them.
Yes. So for the Week in Geek computer updates, you can tell I'm a little bit calmer. If you read the show notes after we posted, you will note that my personal file server that my family uses died after we finished the podcast. The screams, you could hear the screams. The neighbors heard the screams because that was the second piece of technology to go out. And then we had a third piece. We had a third computer that we used for something else go out. So, last week was not a great week in my household for technology. But, because, like I said before, we're both in IT, my husband and I, we have a dearth of computer parts. And so with that, and we used an old case, I now have a desktop PC that runs perfectly well. Speaking of that, though, I just want you guys to know that some things have not changed. I've graduated college in 2008, and all I ever wanted was like a candy pink desktop PC, like a candy pink, like desktop PC case. Do you guys know how difficult it is to find like a higher end, like gaming compatible, maybe even water cooled candy pink PC case? You can't find it. Like the only thing that I find are like lower end, lower budget, and there's nothing wrong with that. But like I need the gaming capabilities, and those aren't it. Those aren't it. And if I see another Hello Kitty one, I'm gonna punch Hello Kitty in the face.
So no on Hello Kitty then. I'm taking it.
No, because I shouldn't have to have Hello Kitty to get my pink case. There are people out there that want pink cases. Oh my God. So I am like. Even before 2008, even before I graduated, I've always looked for a candy pink case. And I remember guys telling me that, like, no, you're going to have to customize that. You're going to have to spray paint it yourself because there's nothing out there like what you want because there's just no pink. There's purple, There's purple, and that's fine, but I want what I want. So if anybody out there has a bead on a candy pink, like even chrome pink, that would be so hot. Like gaming PC case, let me know. I would appreciate that. Anyway.
I find some good stuff on Etsy, but I assume you've looked there.
I've looked everywhere.
Okay.
So, we've cobbled together a desktop PC, and my old gaming laptop, I did not have an SSD drive, a solid state drive. I now do. I purchased a solid state drive, and it was really inexpensive for like, how much? Like maybe $100. I got 500 gigs. No, maybe it's 750 gigs. Anyway, I got plenty of space on a solid state drive, so my games load quicker. Things are running fairly smooth. I did have to buy a new copy of Windows because the one that I was using was it wasn't bootleg. It wasn't bootleg, but my gaming laptop was Windows 7 when I bought it. And I bought it when Windows 10 came out, but I was anti-Windows 10, so I went ahead and got Windows 7. But things were like losing support, so like Windows 7 would have lost its support soon. And Windows had a deal where like, oh, hey, you can upgrade for free. Just do this. And I did that. But there's some jargon in there where like I couldn't port it over to my next hard drive. So I just had to break down and just buy a copy, which is not a huge deal. I don't think I've bought a copy of Windows in 10 years. So it was time.
Yeah.
So like it's up, it's running, it's good. I'm back to losing horribly at Fortnite. Also, if you happen to friend me on Fortnite, just go ahead and send a message to the Geeky Girls Night In Twitter or my personal Twitter letting me know that it's you that is friending me, because like people are starting to friend me and I don't know these people. And I should have probably thought about that before I gave y'all my username. But it makes me a little nervous because I don't know you. But yeah, I'm more than happy to add you. Just would like to know who I'm adding. In Dungeons and Dragons, I told you guys that I really want to learn how to play. I still have no friends, so still haven't played. And I was on Steam, and I noticed that there was a Dungeons and Dragons game, and I was really excited. And my husband, he was looking at it, same as I was, and he was like, well, that looks like it's got really bad reviews. You should probably scroll down and see. Turns out the game hasn't been updated since like 2013, and there are a lot of bad reviews. And my husband's looking at me, he's like, why are you looking to play Dungeons and Dragons online? I was like, I have no friends. You know this. And he's like, why don't you just play Guild Wars 2? Guild Wars 2 is the electronic version of Dungeons and Dragons. Like, Dungeons and Dragons is the paper version of Guild Wars 2. I own Guild Wars 2. We've talked about that a couple of weeks ago.
And I'd love to play Dungeons and Dragons. I live in California, you live in India. I'd love to learn to play too, but yeah, right. Guild Wars 2, I saw a bunch of promotional stuff for it at Comic-Con. Yeah,
I played Guild Wars 2. I have it. One time, like, I was feeling really loopy, and like if you look on the blog, there's a post about the day that I just went completely just off the rails and was dancing in the middle of the square and making people take pictures with me. Oh my God. And declared one dude my husband because he was dressed up like a prince. And I was like, yeah, we're going to take a picture. And he like ran across the thing, and now I have a screenshot of us looking cute together. I don't know who did it. So I guess I'll go off and play Guild Wars. Also, and my last thing is that fall is coming, and I could tell because I woke up yesterday and it felt like somebody had punched me in my face, and I was like, "Oh, fall is here!" Sinuses, allergies. Oh no,
poor baby.
Nose was bleeding. It was a mess. I hate my nose. Anyway, I only make snack mix in the fall and the winter. I don't make it in the spring and summer. It's a traditional thing. I don't know why, but I'm looking for your other snack mix recipes because I love a good snack mix. Like, I'll eat an entire gallon of Chex Mix by myself. Only the homemade kind. That stuff in the bag can kick rocks. So if you're out there and you have a fancy special snack mix that you like to make, please let me know.
Nice.
So that's about it for me.
Cool. So I did a couple of geeky things. So I'm catching up with Felicitations, which is Felicia Day's podcast. And it's really interesting to get a little bit of behind the scenes because you know that Felicia did a Twitch streaming fundraiser for Raíces in Texas to help families who are separated at the border. And they actually help defend children in court. And she raised like over $250,000 on Twitch. Really success. And she, it's really interesting to get behind the scenes, like the negative feedback that she got as well as the positive feedback. But I absolutely continue to believe that, the things we love, sci-fi and fantasy and genre, is really not shallow at all. It, like I think it was our second episode, we talked about depression and, our favorite shows. And the thing is, these shows may seem kind of on the surface, but they have a lot to say about mental health, about resilience, post-traumatic stress, race. There's always really interesting themes in what we watch. So, and it means a lot to a lot of people. And I think it's really awesome she did that. And it's just really interesting to listen to her show and kind of see what it was like from her perspective. Mm-hmm. She also talked about going to the Hugo Awards, but very briefly, and meeting N.K. Jemisin and all this stuff. So it's a lot of fun getting sort of this behind the scenes stuff in her podcast. So I'm still watching that. And speaking of sort of, the immigration issues, you guys know that's very personal to me. And I also wanted to let you know, so Supernatural fans have their own nonprofit. You know that, right, Leslie? And I've talked about it. It's called Random Acts. So that was started, the leadership was Misha Collins, but all the steam is Supernatural fans. And they do a lot of things, whether it's like building an orphanage or there's actually, so one thing they have, which is really cool, is anybody can actually apply for a pot of money to do a random act of kindness. So I don't know that everyone knows that they can do that anywhere from up to 500 or if it's not your first one, it's up to 1,000 where you can write in and say, hey, I want to do this act of kindness. Can I have this money? Here's my budget. And they approve like almost all of them. So it's this kind of money that's just sitting there. They won't do just like a transfer of fund, like pay someone's rent, here's a check kind of thing. It has to be an act, like something that you do together with people. So, I love when fandom does good. I love, I love that. So I actually applied for the second time for GISH money to do an act of kindness. So in the news, there was, a story that, a couple was pulled over by ICE. They were on their way for her to give birth, and he was detained. That, yeah. So that was actually where I live in San Bernardino, in that area. So I actually applied for funds to help her and her children because they've lost their breadwinner just kind of overnight. So we'll see how that goes. I'm sure I'll hear in a couple of weeks, but mostly I just want to let you guys know, like, it's there. If there's anything kind you feel like, anything need in your community, like Supernatural fans, built that nonprofit and that money is there for you. So go get it.
Awesome.
It's the second time I've done it. And the first time I got money to give Christmas gifts to children living in a mobile home park, like a farm worker mobile home park that didn't have potable water and a lot of other issues. So, of course, we were working on the bigger issues, but also Random Acts gave us some money to give the kids, stuff at Christmas. So go and check it out. So just kind of stuff that happened. So did you see Kelly Marie, trans New York Times letter? She said she's going by Luan now.
So she is going by her.
Yeah, she said at the end, my real name's Luan. So everyone should definitely go read it. We've just kind of touched on it before, how, fandoms can get very toxic. And a lot of people were bullying her saying they didn't like her character, but a lot of the people were using, racial slurs and a lot of really nasty stuff. And she ended up a few months ago taking everything down, like her Instagram and everything, which her Instagram was delightful. Like she was really, a joy, just always kind of letting people in before the red carpet and all of her happiness for being in Star Wars and stuff. So, really sucked. Well, she finally came out with a letter basically saying, yeah, that's why. Not just what they were saying, but that I was starting to believe them, that I have all this internalized stuff by being raised, with all this sort of racist idea that as an Asian American woman, I can't be the main character. Like, I have to be the sidekick. I have to be, I have to look a certain way, and it's always white, but it's very uplifting, is at the end, she's just like, my real name's Luan. I'm just getting started. It was really powerful. I was crying by the end. Like, it was beautiful. Did you read it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I read it. It was really good. And I was just like, I just want to fight the people, the neckbeards that did this to her.
I know. So anyway, I really admire her for that. And Mark Hamill retweeted it, and Johnson retweeted it, and just said they loved her. And I love to see that support. I love cast and crew that stick together. It's so sweet.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to what comes next for her. And I'm like, really admire her courage.
Yes.
You also know I'm a huge fan of Osric Chow, who played Kevin on Supernatural, and he also played as one of the Rowdy Three on Dirk Gently. He's been cast in a Naruto live action short. So let's see.
And for some reason, he always plays Sam in the Hillywood.
Yeah, he does. He plays Sam.
Parody.
So cute.
He always plays Sam.
I just love the bits out of him. He's so darling. And so we can put a link in there, but it says, let's see, teaser for Naruto Kakashi versus Obito can be found. Osric is playing Obito, the former student of Minato. I've never seen Naruto, so I hope I'm saying these names right and not butchering them. But he's also... because Osric, besides being an actor, is a martial artist. It says he took up Wing Chun in 2000 and became a member of the Canadian national wushu team before he went into acting. So I'm sure he's going to do an amazing job.
Yeah.
Go, Osric. And then, so the CW, you know how I'm always complaining they didn't pick up Wayward. They picked up Legacies instead, which is a spinoff of a spinoff. So it was like
Wait a minute. Isn't that that's a spinoff of Vampire Diaries?
Yeah, well, the spinoff of the spinoff. So it's a spinoff of Originals, which is a spinoff of Vampire Diaries.
Oh, God.
So they picked that up. That's definitely one of the ones I was like, come on, guys, really? So TV Guide actually tweeted it going, miss the Originals. The second Vampire Diaries spinoff, Legacies, is about to premiere. So, and you look at their tweet and boy, Vampire Diaries, people are not looking forward to this because apparently they have a very popular pairing, and they killed off one of the people in the pairing, and they're all kind of bitter. So like, I'm looking down and people are like, absolutely not. Like, you killed off so-and-so, we didn't get our ship, and now you're trying to use the ship to promote the show. Like, people are irritated. And so it really makes me look like, why? You're not even giving the Vampire Diaries people something they want. Like, how are you going to launch the show? But anyway, that's just my
I have
gossip.
a funny story about Vampire Diaries.
Okay.
I have a cousin, and my cousin's like 4 years older than I am.
Uh-huh.
And she has a daughter, and the daughter she's high school, like maybe freshman, maybe sophomore. And so my cousin texts me, and she goes, have you heard of Vampire Diaries? Because Veronica, her daughter, is watching it. And I'm like...
How old's her daughter?
She's freshman, sophomore.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, oh, you're in for a whirlwind, because that thing is long, like seasons. Like, they're up there with Supernatural seasons. That's how long they went. And she's like, there's only one black person. And I'm like, I bet she dies. And then, And then, 30 seconds, not even 30 seconds later, she's like, the black girl just died. And I'm like, are you kidding me right now? She's like, no, you said that. And then Veronica started screaming about Bonnie dying.
Oh my God. Yeah. I've only seen the first episode and I don't have anything against it. It just didn't really catch my attention.
I've seen like the first maybe 3 or 4. Like I gave it an honest shot, but it wasn't my jam. So.
Yeah. But it seems like it's not just bitter Wayward Sisters people. Like if you look on it, there's, you know what I mean? Like if they had tweeted, oh, ready for Wayward Sisters, there'd be like 1,000 people being like, oh yeah, we're getting our show, you know, but there was like, seriously, like from Vampire Diary fans were just like, absolutely not. So I was like, okay. Yeah. So anyway, we'll see about that. And then my 2 reviews. So I was really watching TV this week because I was trying to just tune out and not think about anything, just kind of get a little diversion and fun. So
sure.
I tried The Magicians. So The Magicians is actually the showrunner or executive producer Sarah Gamble, who did a few seasons of Supernatural. Mm-hmm. And I did like a lot of her episodes. And so, you know, we'll check it out. It's based on books, which I have not read. So it's about a young man who enrolls at a magical university. So during the premiere, you know, he didn't know it existed. He has a lot of depression. He's not very happy. And then he finds out, oh, I have magic abilities and there's this magical university. So yay. But his childhood friend, so him and his childhood friend both find this magic university. She is rejected and he is accepted even though they both have magic. And so it's kind of like follows their respective journeys, like him going through the university and her kind of having like this meltdown of just desperation and self-doubt. Cause it's like, well, I just found out about magic and now I've been rejected from it. You know, it was kind of a roller coaster ride for her. Right. And she's like, hey, you know, tell them they made a mistake. Speak up for me. And he's just like, hell no, I'm in. I'm not going to do anything for you. And so they just, so it's really interesting in that sense. It's kind of like their 2 stories kind of anchor the whole first season. And the big bad is called the Beast and like kind of gets into the university and kills some people. And they're trying to figure that out. So that's basically what it's about. So I found it it was entertaining. It was very addictive. I got through the whole season. So clearly, like, I kept watching the next one. Very, like, you could call a little bit trashy, you know, like very obsessed with sex and semen and...
Ew.
Seriously, the super semen-y part is only in the finale. But it's like, you know, sometimes you do just kind of want something sexy. So it's like there's sex magic, and then it seems like everything's related to sex pretty much. And there's some very attractive people on it. Arjun Gupta is in it. He plays a character named Penny, and he's super hot. But it's definitely like a lot of it's kind of an excuse to have sexual content, I think, which can be very entertaining and fun, but also, you know, a little corny. You know what I mean? But yeah, there was some pretty explicit, like, there's also like, the only thing that I was a little uncomfortable with was there's definitely like content and themes of sexual assault and sexual abuse. And sometimes like when a show's a little bit cheesy, it can be like, oh yeah, this is cheesy fun. You don't know really how well can they handle that content. Right. You know what I mean? Because that has to be very, sensitively handled. And also like when I started watching it, I was just like, oh, this is so much trashy fun. Like this is great fun. And then after a couple seasons, you know, I get this expectation that it's not going to be super deep, you know, and then there's like sexual assault and I'm just like, it's not what I was, you know, not what I was kind of mentally prepared to deal for in the show. So that's the only like caveat I would say. If you're like, yeah, I want something like just a sexy magic show with a lot of drama, you know, just there's more serious stuff in there that could be kind of disturbing, you know. And yeah, a lot of the ends seem to hinge on imbibing semen, so to get power. So
you can see my face. My God.
I know I'm looking at my notes instead of your face, but I will. It's, you know, it's a little nutballs, but there are hot people, and it's kind of cheesy fun for the most part.
No,
And
all I'm thinking about is that episode of Supernatural where Sam has to drink all that demon's blood, and
it's like the opposite. It's like it's like the god semen gives someone power, and so like it's a whole thing. So yeah, you do have to be able to tolerate a little bit of that. But yeah, so. But it's addictive. It's like popcorn GIF. I don't even like popcorn, but those little popcorn GIFs are like, oh my god, what's gonna happen next? Like, it's diverting, and there's hot people, so that's what I will say for it. And I did see the whole first season, though. Some people are like, oh, it even gets better and better, and I might go back to it. I might not. I haven't decided yet. The next one is The Expanse. So I've been wanting to watch The Expanse for a while. The Expanse is a sci-fi show that it gets a lot of great reviews. It has a lot of very passionate fans. It's also based on books, and it's like in a world where Earth and Mars are having a lot of. Mars is like a military power, or I think it's like 200 something or years in the future. So, and then the UN controls Earth. Mars is an independent military power. And then the planets rely on the sources of the asteroid belt, where air and water are more precious than gold. So some people are born and live out in the asteroid belt. And they're called belters. And basically they are kind of the oppressed. They're mining and carrying, ice and water for Earth and Mars, but they are not allowed enough of it to be healthy, whether it's clean air, whether it's enough water, and there's all these implications to their health about being raised in zero gravity. So it's a very, exciting, political intrigue between all of these powers, and the belters are trying to revolt. So of course they're being labeled terrorists, and somebody's trying to provoke a war between Mars and Earth, but you don't know yet. I've only seen 5 episodes so far, but oh yeah, it's great. I just get sucked in immediately. Oh, well, where'd that ship come from? Who are those people trying to, provoke the war? It's very, very tense and well done. And it takes a couple of episodes to really, really get into it. I like the characters. It's really well written. A couple really familiar faces are in it. So Thomas Jane, who of course was the Punisher in the Punisher movie. He's in it as sort of this very cynical detective who's just trying to survive kind of thing. And Shora Agdashlu. I've loved her in everything I've seen her in. She plays a UN politician. Have you seen her in anything?
I haven't.
She's just a goddess. She's fantastic. She's just one of those actresses where you're just you always want her to be on screen. She has a lot of power, a lot of charisma. So I think the casting is amazing. So yeah, I definitely, if you like intrigue and action and sort of political suspense and great characters and sci-fi, definitely check it out. I highly recommend it. I've watched the first 5 episodes and I'm in it for sure.
Cool.
And that one's still going, actually. That one's still going. I think it got canceled and picked up by somebody else. I might be making that up. But I'm watching it on Amazon Prime. And The Magicians is on Netflix. So there's a fantasy and a sci-fi recommendation for you. So So I'll be tweeting about The Expanse too. I'm definitely into it. So
very cool. So.
All right. Well, stay tuned for our interview. We had a really great time.
Yes.
Talking to them, and I think you guys are going to love them too, and you're going to want to run over and listen to their podcast too if you haven't yet.
All right. So Two Squares Podcast is about 2 individuals who just happen to be married that love anime, superheroes, music, and many other things deemed square activities.
Nice.
The podcast is bi-weekly on Thursdays. You can listen on SoundCloud or Apple Podcast. If you're interested in following them, they're on Instagram at 2squarespodcast, all one word. Facebook at Two Square Podcast, again, all one word, and Twitter at twosquarespodcast with a 2 instead of the word 2. Welcome, Terris and Delshon. Thank you for taking time out of your day to speak with us.
Woo, welcome.
Yay.
Thank you. That was a great introduction.
I know, you did it good.
We tried. So, let's start it out. What are you guys drinking today?
Well, since I'm diabetic, I'm drinking diet cream soda.
I'm diabetic too. Diabetic party up in here.
I'm doing diet cream soda just because, and I have a Michelob Ultralight too.
Always good
There we
choice.
go.
Always good choice. So either alcoholic or unalcoholic here. We're not picky. Usually I'm drinking tea. Yeah, it wasn't like bring your drink on. No. Like I'm usually drinking tea. So and
That's why. Yes, me too.
Yeah.
So I think a little backstory is in order. I met Delshon through a mutual friend of ours, Denise. And I've known Denise since high school. I think you have too, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, you guys went to high school together. And
Right.
me and Denise were part of a program called Upward Bound, which put me and Marion.
I told you.
I'm sorry. We were trying to figure it out. Yeah.
Yes. Because I'm from Kokomo. So,
Okay.
yeah, I'd be in Marion about 6 weeks out of the summer, every summer during high school. So that's how me and Denise met. Because she's, oh, Lord, Denise, hey, girl.
She's a handful.
She is. She always has the best jokes. If you haven't heard her fries ain't ready yet skit, oh my, okay. Like I just remember one summer she would just look at you and just be like, the fries ain't ready yet, because it was a skit on Comic View on BET talking about how McDonald's would push you out into the street to wait on your French.
Oh, yes.
Yes. So it was a big whole thing, and she would just look dead at you and just be like, the fries ain't ready yet. And we'd just be in a pile of giggles. So up until a few months ago, I had no clue that you guys even had a podcast. And you guys have been at it for well over a year. When did this happen? And how did it happen?
We started, I want to say
Yeah,
February.
it was February.
February of last year. And we just...
Well,
Go ahead.
we ended up we just started really getting into podcasts maybe like 2 years ago, maybe.
Right.
And we found out that a few people that a few family members and people that we knew from back home were doing podcasts too, and we were like, why don't we try to do something?
Yeah.
We've been married for a numerous amount of years.
Numerous, very technically.
Oh, it's 13.
Yeah.
I know.
Okay.
13 together.
She's like, excuse me, how many is numerous?
13 together.
Oh, wow.
Aww.
And so we decided, because we don't get a chance to do that much. We have kids. We have 2 little ones and everything. So we were like, this will be something that we can do together. And instead of it, Terris and Delshon and the kids, it's actually Terris and Delshon for us to do something as one together.
Aww, that's really beautiful.
So cute.
And it is hard as parents, you don't even have to get out. You can just get in the next room. That's nice.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Sometimes they bust in,
Yeah.
sometimes. And then sometimes we have a clear day and we can actually do it. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Well, as we're kind of baby podcasters, we've got, how many episodes do we have now, Leslie?
This will be 17.
Okay. But we've been doing a weekly. So it's nice. It's really nice to, meet other podcasters and stuff. And of course, we're always interested in the kind of equipment other podcasts are using. I found that the learning curve was very steep. It seems like it should be easy, but if you go on YouTube, nobody's using the same setup you are.
Oh, yeah.
And so I almost threw my laptop out the window and burned my house down, I swear to God. So what are you guys working with equipment wise? What do you use?
Well, I know a lot of people, we started off using our laptop, but I found that our laptop was a little bit dated, so I didn't want to do that anymore. But I didn't feel like spending $500 to $700 on a new laptop, computer or anything like that. So I did some research and found this digital recorder called it's called a Zoom H4n Pro.
Okay.
So we record everything on that. We use 2 condenser mics, and that's what we record on. It's right here if you can see it.
Okay.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
And we just use that because I listen to a lot of podcasts, and they always have that episode where they say we lost an episode.
Uh-huh.
The computer crashed or something like that. So I said maybe I'll get something that's just dedicated strictly for recording, so I don't have to worry about that crash or anything. And I've never had a problem with it at all.
Okay.
And then I'll use Audacity to edit. I edit with Audacity.
Got it.
Okay. That's cool. So we talked about the, why you guys kind of started the podcast, togetherness time and all that. How did you guys decide what you were going to talk about? I just listened to your most recent episode. Terris, Scott Pilgrim is not a romantic comedy. It's not.
Uh-oh. Fight. No.
We'll definitely discuss because I'm going to stand on my horse. I'm on my porch screaming to high heavens that it is a romantic comedy.
Okay, let's talk about this real quick before we
no.
Because I did a little bit of research.
Nerd battle.
Before we came in, and a romantic comedy is a genre with a lighthearted, humorous plotline centered on romantic ideals such that true love is able to surmount most obstacles.
You busted out Webster's for this.
You better have all that.
There was no surmounting anything. He went through all of them exes, and she was like, well, that's great and all, but I'm going to go ahead and go back to.
He still went through and he fought for this relationship. He fought.
It was one-sided love, though.
It was severe one-sided love.
She had a codependence on Gideon. The codependence on the main protagonist that's the reason why she was like that. She was.
But even after he busted up Gideon, she was still just kind of like, we can try, bruh, but I can't guarantee you anything.
Come to your
Everybody's been coming at him. He keeps trying to defend. Look, Leslie, he went off on, and Rebecca, he went off on me. He's like, so you're going to go on Twitter and you're going to side with them and say.
You're going to be piling on him. That's cool. I haven't seen the movie. Should I see it?
I think you should see it. You should see it and make your own decision. Your
own decision.
Yeah.
Do not let Webster Cincinnati tell you what a rom-com is. There are subgenres of everything. Subgenres of rom-com. Why can't it be an action comedy rom-com? Why can't it be that?
Look, my husband was looking at me like I was just out there because, I had my notebook and I was taking notes and, I podcast down in the basement, so, I have to bring most of my stuff down here. I had to bring my laptop mainly, but the microphone and stuff stays down here. But I forgot my notebook upstairs. I had notes. I had an outline. I've been in college for 150 years.
You had your receipt for
exactly.
Why? People need to tell me why.
I do appreciate that. At least you gave me some sort of something to think about.
Right.
It's not it. I'm like, why is it not it? It had all the symptoms of a rom-com. I don't understand why it's not.
It had, I will give you that it had pieces of a rom-com, like him fighting the insurmountable odds. But the thing is, when one party fights those odds and the other party doesn't, later in the movie, they're supposed to be able to come back and, have some sort of grand gesture. And she never really did.
This is what I love about nerd culture. Leslie, you shopped around dictionaries too to make sure you got the right definition.
But she had a good combative argument, and I'm with it. So
I love it.
Agree.
I'm gonna have to watch that.
Agree to disagree. I've lived in that. Agree to disagree.
Okay.
I'm not going to give up on that. Well, my brother even came to me because we were talking about it, and he was like, if you think about it, he's like, the first Deadpool is a rom-com too.
I remember y'all saying that. And I have not seen the first Deadpool, so I don't know. But I know that he was trying to fight his way back to his wife, right?
Yeah.
So
I love that relationship too. But then again, yeah, it was good.
So So anyway, let's circle back around
to your question. You did have a question.
I did. It wasn't just an argument, I promise. How did you guys know what you were going to talk about?
We just talk. Like, I mean, we always talk anyway about like anime and things like that. I'm more of a newbie to anime, I will say. I mean, I got it from him. It was one of the things I kind of inherited with the marriage. As we go, I get a lot more comfortable with it. So we just talk. We always talk. And that's one of our biggest things because we will stop conversations now and be like, that's podcast worthy. Wait, don't. So that's actually how we come up with topics. I'll shoot it to him. He'll bring it to me and be like, yo, like, does this? Okay, we'll do that. So that's basically, it's no formula or nothing like that because this is strictly our coping. This is just,
Yeah, we just talk.
Cool, yeah.
That's awesome.
We talk our
if
stuff.
nobody was here, we would have these same
Same thing. Yep.
So,
and I understand what you mean by inherited. I inherited most of Star Trek with my marriage. So I had some experience. Like I knew about Data, had a crush on Data when I was like 8. But he brought the rest of it to the marriage.
can I just say that I love your crush on Data so much? So is this... Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ann.
I was just going to say, he's probably the reason why I'm in IT.
God, I love him so much.
Yeah, that's him. I didn't hear it. I love it.
So then would you guys consider this like a hobby? So you started doing it, for togetherness, to focus on the stuff you're passionate about together. Is this something you're trying to like make into anything professional, or is it pretty much, or like build community, or is it pretty much just a hobby, having fun?
Well, I mean, it started out just as something for us to do together, just as a hobby. And I mean, we still consider it as a hobby. We're not really into it for, any type of fame or glory or prestige, but anything that grows out of it, we're receptive to,
Yeah, like I want it to be local. I don't want to go past local. Like I'm cool with where we are. Of course, I want more interaction, and I'm a big thing on community and networking.
Oh yes,
stuff.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really big to me. So of course, if I can use it as an outlet to do more help in the community and things like that, I'm gonna do it. But I'm not looking for nothing. This is just ours. This is our baby.
Yeah, we're just
And we haven't quite managed to crack that yet. The interactions, I think we're still trying to bring our listeners into like talking to us more. But like we say, we're learning this a little at a time.
Yeah. We're getting there a little bit, and we've been here for a year.
And we're really just people are just getting back to us and communicating with us like maybe the last month or two.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we basically kind of stay like, we basically just stay to us. I mean, I'm trying to do better at networking and stuff, but I'm not a people person all the time. So.
Leslie felt that.
Because I work with people so much to say that, that's the job, but I'm just,
I'm the same. I am exactly the same.
Yeah, we're like an introvert-extrovert team over here.
Yeah,
and Leslie's the introvert.
No, we're an introvert team.
Yeah. A lot better than me, even though, I think you do a lot better than me.
Yeah, but I got all the stuff.
Well, I'm sorry about that.
I got all the...
I apologize for the extras.
I'm the anxiety guy, though.
Oh.
Yeah,
and see, like when we went to Gen Con, like the entire month before, I was freaking out on air and everything. Like, if I freak out at Gen Con, nobody's going to talk to me. I'll have to talk to all these people. There can be There were quiet rooms. I sat in the craft room for like 30 minutes.
That's so awesome.
Yeah. So it was just Sometimes I have to take a chill pill and step back and be like, it's okay. I can go in a corner if I need to. So
I try. I just don't get the opportunity to step away. So I just have to fake it till I make it.
I understand that.
Don't we all? Mm-hmm.
Just put that smile on and keep looking forward.
Yeah.
Exactly. So let's switch gears a bit, and we're going to get a little bit geekier. Tell us the best superhero movie you have seen thus far.
Do you know how hard this question is?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Well, Leslie's like, yep,
You
absolutely.
You the moment.
I'm gonna let you go ahead.
We're just going to sip our tea over here. Have you noticed Leslie and I both have Harry Potter mugs? I have my Ravenclaw. She's got her Marauders map.
Yes.
I want to go to that thing that they're having here. I think it's in November.
It's in November, yeah. The Harry Potter.
The Harry Potter.
We need to talk about
Where are
that
you based?
when we get off the air. They're here in Indy with me.
Okay.
We're going to talk about that when we get off the air. So
Oh.
I got some news for y'all. So
Okay.
Okay. But okay, I mean, my favorite superhero movie right thus far, I have to say it is the first Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. That's my favorite Marvel superhero movie.
it was so cute.
What do you like about it?
It's just funny and it's adorable. The soundtrack is awesome, and I just really get into that one. That's my favorite one.
Nice.
If I had to choose, I'm gonna say Thor Ragnarok is my favorite.
Thor Ragnarok.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that is a solid
That's
pick.
what I will say so far. There's so many more though.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. If I had to do a list, it would.
Yeah, I
there's
know.
so many more. But that's where I'm gonna go with
Right,
right
because
now.
Scott Pilgrim is also a superhero movie too.
We're not.
No.
Not today. Not today.
We're gonna stay in order.
It's a superhero rom-com movie. It's
A superhero action rom-com.
pretty various. You can't contain it.
Those are both great picks. It seems like the humor is definitely a point of connection between the two of them, I think.
Yeah,
for sure.
Like I like the brooding superhero movies, but after a while, I want to laugh. I don't want things to be so serious. I need some.
Yeah.
I do feel like too, when you're like wearing tights and you can fly and whatnot, you should not take yourself like overly seriously. Like there should be some laughs.
You should not. I absolutely agree. Definitely not.
So, switching gears to another geeky interest. So, you guys are fans of anime. My son is actually a huge fan of anime. I take him to Anime Expo in LA every year for his birthday. He's 16 now. And, I like to bond with him over the things he loves. I definitely raised him to be a geek. Like, we went to Comic-Con together. We went to, like, Supernatural cons. We watched Doctor Who together. So I definitely that's because of me. Like, he's definitely got that geeky thing. And just as, like, a way to bond with him, I like to, try out some anime. So do you have a few, like, you guys could recommend, say, to a newbie, or even, like, a unsung one that people may not appreciate sufficiently?
Well,
Because he pretty much watches all of them, like all of them.
I was
So
gonna say, the great thing about anime is that it's like whatever you're into, you can find an anime that you're into. It's just that's what I love it so much about it, and I think people don't understand that. They think about it as just cartoons, and it's not cartoons. There's so many subgenres.
yeah.
Of anime.
Well, I like fantasy and sci-fi. So like in that area, what do you think?
I feel like anything that has Gundam. If I don't know if you've ever heard of Gundam, like Gundam Wing, Gundam Zero. There's like so many Gundams, like the big giant robots, and there's
Okay.
tons of those.
Okay, I'm gonna write this down. So
There's one that I really like. That's it's sci-fi, and it's called Gurren Lagann.
Goran Lagann?
Yeah, I think it's like Guerran. I don't remember how to spell Lagann. I don't remember. But it's a very over-the-top anime with it's very bright, it's very flashy, and it's only like maybe 2 or 3 seasons, so you can really binge watch it in a couple a day or two, and it's just I really enjoy that one because it's just so vibrant. It's so much going on. The action is so crazy and weird and intense. And I just really enjoy that one.
Yeah, it's nice you mentioned you can get through it because my son watches some like Naruto. They're just like, oh, there are 2 trillion episodes. And I'm like, oh, that's a little intimidating.
But it's so good though.
Yeah.
It is. It's like a tearjerker. Naruto is just to watch how he grows to do stuff. So It's a really good starter one
Yeah,
too.
they call
to be
his
honest.
they call his ninja skill talk no jutsu because he, even though he fights, most of the time he beats people by having a conversation with them.
Uh-huh.
That's his biggest superpower.
It's so cute. It's just the will of it. Like I love Naruto. I didn't get into Baruto, his son, but Naruto I love. It took me a while to get started with it because like how you felt, it's so much. But
Yeah.
once you get started, just to watch this little person grow up to be this person who he is now, this older kid, and just
Uh-huh.
everything stacked against him. It's amazing anime. I like it.
Well, I do
Sounds
like
cute.
Well, and I do like that's why I like TV, I think, a little bit over movies, because I love to get that character development. It's more like reading a novel. Like you get a lot more to know the character, and I'm very like character motivated.
Yeah. And I mean, I wrote down a few for you. I don't know. I wouldn't put them as like sci-fi. I'm into more of like the devil type stuff, devil vampire-ish.
Ooh, I like that
type
too.
thing.
That's fantasy. I like
Yeah.
fantasy.
That's basically my thing. So that's our difference.
I like that
But,
too. All that epic stuff.
yeah. So Soul Eater is a really good one to start off with, and he didn't mention it, but Bleach is a really good one.
Yeah,
I'm
my son
sure
watches that
your
one.
son is probably done with Bleach now, but that's a really good one. And one of my all-time favorite is Blue Exorcist. That's a good one too.
Okay.
They're
I wrote that down.
really
I like
easy
it.
starters.
What about Black Clover?
Yeah, Black Clover is good too,
And
but
that was
she knew about Naruto, so I mean, Black Clover and Naruto are very similar. But that's a quicker. I mean, it doesn't have as much episodes as Naruto.
right because it just started.
Yeah.
Not too long.
My son loves them all. I think he'll try just about all of them, but I think his favorite right now is Bungo Stray Dogs.
I've never heard of that.
I haven't heard that one. But
Oh, well, he's an anime hipster. He likes to stay on top of stuff and be like, what? You haven't heard that one? No.
right.
He likes to like them before they even have their merchandising, and he has to hunt through Comic-Con like with a magnifying glass to find his merch, you know.
We were literally just talking about that. He was bringing it up how like the really people that are heavily into it, they like shows like that where you have to search more for it and they're not mainstream.
Right, that's what I say. It's hard for me to because I'll suggest Boku no Hero like very quickly because I love that anime, My Hero Academia. And if you're
Oh,
already
yeah.
you're already the superheroes, it's easier to get into because it's kind of like a blend between American comics and then manga. You know,
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've heard of that one too.
So yeah, I love Boku. Boku no Hero is really good.
Cool. I got my list then.
Awesome. All right. So up next, I personally, me by myself alone, have begun to revisit Hootie and the Blowfish's catalog. And if anybody judges me, I will fight them because they are great.
I don't think it's worth it to fight Leslie, so you just listen to Hui.
Right. It's so. And
in our voice.
I love me some Hootie and the Blowfish. But I've also started listening to, everybody calls him Hootie, and that's not his name. His name is Darius Rucker. I've started listening to his solo stuff, which is primarily all country. And yeah, it's really good, except for like one song, and he's with Brad Paisley, and they're determining the assets of a woman, and I'm like, okay, you know what? No,
I'll skip that one.
Yeah, how about not?
Yeah, like they're sitting there in the song, and like I'm pulling into the parking lot of the doctor's office, and he's like, "Are those real?" And I'm like, you know what?
Skip. Well, Brad Paisley. That's all you had to say.
Exactly. As soon as he starts singing, I'm like, you know what? I should probably turn this off. And then he was like, "Are those real?" And then I really turned it off. It is bad. So, that's what I'm listening to right now. What are you guys listening to?
I am into like really vibey. I call it vibey music. I'm sure that's not the genre, but like. Have you heard of her?
I have not. No.
Oh, I love her. Like that's
her name too.
That's her name too.
What is her name?
Her.
Just H-E-R?
Period R period.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if you get a chance, I mean, it's really vibey. It's very like I don't know how to explain it, but
I don't really.
I
I
call
think
it vibey music. It's
that makes
just
sense to me.
and then I like Daniel Caesar and Leon Bridges. Still
Okay,
real
okay.
vibey music. Just it's all vibes from how I look at it.
Gotcha.
And me myself, I've been listening to. Well, right now, my favorite rapper to listen to is Rhapsody,
Mhm.
a young lady out of North Carolina.
Okay.
I think she's super dope and she's super positive, and it's very much an alternative to the Cardi B, Nicki Minaj's that you listen to.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
It's a whole nother, a different. Yeah, that other side is over there. It's not.
Well, it's good to get diversity. I feel like a lot of times the music industry thinks like, oh, you only need one female rapper and one style, you know?
And if
And-
they must fight.
Right,
And
they
what-
can't get along if there's two of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
So
cool.
yeah, her also listen to Sid the Kid from the group called The Internet. I don't know if you ever heard of The Internet.
Yes.
I listen to her a lot. I really like her vibe. She's kind of in that same vibe you're talking about. Yeah, very.
Okay.
And I also listen to Fonte. He was from a group called Little Brother back in the days. Now he's with a group called the Foreign Exchange, and he raps and he sings, and it's kind of he's just really cool, and I like him. He does grown man rap music, where he's getting married, having kids, stuff like what I'm saying. He raps about stuff. I'm like I've grown with him since I was younger, so every time he's going through a phase, I'm going through that same phase. I feel like we're just growing together.
That is so awesome. That is so awesome.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. I love Fonte. I would love that guy.
I've also been listening to that one damn song from Doja Cat over
Yes.
again.
Up and my 6-year-old saw that. Big booty.
I feel like I don't ever hear anything new because I just use Pandora. So like sometimes something new will get into your mix, but it just doesn't. And I have basically what I have is a Pandora station for every decade of the history of R&B because I just love R&B. So I have like a Bobby Brown station, like a, Anthony Hamilton, you know what I mean? Like no matter what decade it is, like I've got an R&B station for it. And because that's pretty much my thing. But then I have like just noises for at night, like raindrops or something. And then I think for my mental health, like I have a couple like mental health stations. So Latin pop, I have a Ricky Martin station. Now, I pumped the other day, but if you could like liquefy Latin pop and Latin pop videos and just pump it yourself in an IV, like it would just cure depression because there's just always so much joy and dancing in the streets and like there's so much just passion and celebrating all the time. And, like when I'm feeling really down, like I just need to just beam that right into my brain. That's what I listen to. And then, for work, it's like Spanish guitar or bossa nova, something chill so that I can halfway concentrate on what I'm doing.
Yeah, I need to do that for work because for work I'm listening to hardcore rap music
That's what I'm
driving to a client's house.
I'm listening probably
It's gonna have everything
problematic
that shouldn't be
music
on there.
from the 90s.
Very problematic. I don't even stand for it. And you get mad at myself when I'm listening.
Yes.
Talks about her like that. Let me turn this up though.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, cause see,
Above this, but not right now.
Like I'm in my 40s, and when I was in high school, it was gangster rap, and like that if we wanted anything soulful or danceable, like that was our only option. So like we listened to it and we grew a love for it. So now it's like I'm two people. If someone comes out with a song right now that said something like that, I would be like, absolutely not. You are canceled. But then like, oh, let me just turn this up because that's what I grew up with, and you can't help it. Like it reminds me of being on the basketball team. It reminds me of like, it reminds me of my teenage years, and I'm like,
We literally just had the same conversation too. We was like certain things.
They just trigger you. Like it doesn't matter, like how good stuff. It's just like it just brings you back to that place that you were really happy,
Yeah.
Just listen to it. You just enjoy
Now, there's
it.
certain things I won't tolerate, though. Like, I don't care if it brings me back. Like, there's certain artists
Uh-huh.
that it's too far. I can't do. Regardless, I just can't. I won't call myself woke, but it just steps on my. I can't.
I feel like you're talking about.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know.
Yeah, I would never bump R. Kelly at all. Never.
Yeah.
Never get any form of a play.
I feel like, yeah.
I just call it rock. I don't.
I do feel like child molestation is probably like that. There's definitely a line we can draw there.
Yeah.
Well, you know who I feel like? I feel like Missy Elliott kind of rescued us. She's like one of the first, rappers that had just that bass, all those beats that are just sick that you have to move. And all she talked about is like sex and partying. She wasn't talking about, anything violent or hateful. And you're just like, okay. Like, I'm just going to listen to this on repeat,
I love her.
I love her.
Oh, you got to.
When she came to Tevin Campbell's defense,
I was like, yes.
she was like, this is the wrong generation to mess with. It was so good. She's great.
Cool. Well, we are getting to the end. Man, it's such a delight to have you two on. It's such a treat.
Really
Thank you so much. It's so nice, talking about building community, being able to get to know other people doing and other nerds doing this stuff is really, really cool. So at the top of the segment, Leslie talked about where people could find you, but go ahead and, let people know where they can find you if you got any other tips or info.
Go ahead, big dog. Handle that.
I hate you. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Two Squares Podcast.
And that's spelled out, right? The TWO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spelled out.
Okay.
For Twitter, we're the actual number 2 Squares Podcast.
Okay.
And that's where we are. Our show, like she said, it drops on Thursday bi-weekly. We're on Soundcloud, but we're also on Apple Podcasts.
Cool.
Google Podcast.
And Google.
Awesome.
Well, I'm about to subscribe, so you guys are awesome. Thank you.
And I already have, so we're good.
Appreciate you guys. I've been listening to a lot of episodes, and
Aw.
I can feel the excitement through my earpiece. Like, I can feel all the passion. So I just want to tell you guys, you're doing a great job.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot. I always feel like we have no idea what we're doing, but we're having fun. So there you go.
Yes.
And that's the best part.
Just not knowing that it comes out, you're like, it actually sounds pretty good. Like, all right.
Yeah.
Oh, we just like, no one listens to us. Oh, and then we got someone that was like, I just want to let you guys know you guys are doing amazing. And I'm like, really?
Yeah. Well, we were talking about it does take a while. It's like people want to really know you're going to be around, and they don't seem to, it takes a while to build that. So,
Yes.
All right. Well, thanks again, y'all. It was so great to meet you.
Thank you, and hopefully.
Nice meeting you, Rebecca.
You too.
Thanks, Leslie.
Not a problem.
Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Since we are podcast newbies, it would mean a lot to us if you'd subscribe and rate us on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Also, we love to hear from our listeners. Leave us a voicemail at 785-746-2604. Email us at ask@geekygirlguide.com, or hit us up on social media at Geeky Girl Guide, all one word, on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
And remember, in the words of the great John Barrowman, never apologize for being nerdy. Until next time.